Hello and welcome to the Gooners podcast. This is episode number 5.61, entitled Startinelli. And oh boy, will we be talking about that. Owen, how you doing, man?
I'm good.
You excited? You have a good day, good week?
Good week, yeah, good week. And do you want to know what, man? The best decision I ever made, without a doubt, I've just come to the realization of it today, was leaving Twitter.
Joining the podcast?
That was the worst decision, arguably. But man, it's just Twitter. It was just like waking up and taking dicks to the face hourly, looking at that toxic.
You act like you know what that's like, but
I dabbled.
So you've left Twitter, and within the last 2 days, Andy apparently has decided that he's going to commandeer our Twitter account and tweet a bunch of what we would call trolling kind of tweets. So if you see something and it doesn't sound like me, it's probably not. It's Andy. So quick disclaimer. I literally 30 minutes ago, I had my second Moderna vaccine. So over the next hour, if you see me like gradually growing a third ear or a third nose or sweating profusely or I die, I just want to say it's been, this 5-year journey we've been on has been nothing short of a pleasure. So, I love post-win podcasts. I come out of the woodwork. I do like 15 different podcasts when we win. When we lose, you won't see or hear from me. I mean, I'd be a shit captain. But that's just how Magic Mike rolls, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. But joining us today, we have two guests in. One's here already. The other is finishing up some chicken, I believe. And he'll be with us shortly. But the first guest, the debutant, with his duck-breaking performance. We got JJ Garcia. JJ, it's great to have you on the pod.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Always good to chat with fellow Gooners.
That's right, and expanding the family, whether it's people who are already Gooners, turning people into Gooners, getting to know new Gooners. That's what this podcast is all about. So, so we met through Sophie, of course, of the Highbury Squad. Yes. Wonderful person to introduce people together, to get to know. We were guests on their Good Morning America show. I think that name might be taken, but I don't think that's what they used. Where we both had tropical beach backgrounds. I was in Amelia Island. You were in San Diego.
Yeah.
It looked like we were behind, in front of green screens, but no. So you're not still there then. You're back in your neck of the woods, right?
Yep. I'm back in Phoenix, Scottsdale, here in Arizona. Loving the heat, sweating a little bit, but us zonies, we like that. So,
I mean, I figure you're probably rarely more than 6 inches from some body of water, be it a pool or a beach or something. That's
almost
the life
every
out
house
west.
has a pool here, so it's if you like swimming, there's plenty of that here.
So, how did you and Soph connect? What's the background, and then we'll get in a little bit of the Arsenal background for you.
Yeah, honestly, social media. I have somewhat of a presence in my family. We do a reality show. And I believe, I don't know if Sophie watched that or she just happened to follow me, but I think she sort of caught wind, wait, I put stuff about Arsenal during the Arsenal game. She's like, you're a Gooner. I'm like, oh, diehard. I'm like, been diehard since, the mid 2000s. And we just connected. And she's like, why don't you hop on the podcast? And so that's what we did. And it was, it's been a good relationship ever since, and been on there a couple of times. And I mean, they're great people over there at the Highbury. So, been blast talking to them, and obviously meeting new Gooners such as yourselves.
Yeah, you know who hates the Highbury Squad? Lee Judges. He was telling me off camera the other night. He cannot stand them. Lee, welcome to the pod. How was the chicken tonight?
I had lasagna today. It's very nice, you know what I mean? So, it's very nice.
Every time Lee joins us on the pod, he's either just finished chicken or he's had chicken he's actually eats it on the podcast. So always good to have you joining us, Lee.
No, I would have been earlier, but they shut the road, the A10 off, which is a road that goes down our way. So it meant I had to do a little detour. But I'm here now, I'm here now.
Well, Lee, meet JJ.
Hi, JJ, you all right? Nice to meet you.
Getting to know JJ a little bit before the pod. Now we're doing it on the pod. So
right.
Tell us now a little bit about the Arsenal Inception story. Whenever we have somebody on for the first time, we got to know how and why Arsenal.
Okay, so I grew up playing soccer, football. Grew up playing the sport, diehard, and one of my best friend, he actually had we were on the same team. He left teams, and he had coach, and I can't believe I'm about to blank on the coach right now. And oh my gosh, ESPN pundit. Why am I blanking? Oh my gosh, Arsenal player. He scored. He has a statue. I know.
Thierry Henry?
No, he has a statue in the museum.
Oh, in the museum, Charlie George.
He's like sliding down like this. Oh my
Charlie
gosh,
Charlie George.
Yeah. Oh no,
the guy with the line down on the ground.
I'm sorry, he doesn't have a statue.
Lee, you're supposed to help him out.
He's on ESPN. He's an announcer for ESPN for soccer. ESPN FC.
Let me see.
Arsenal player. Why am I?
I don't know.
Don't worry, I got this. Jamie from Joe Rogan can eat shit. I'm gonna find this out.
So we'll double back.
Paul Mariner. Okay, there we go.
All right,
so Paul Mariner doesn't have such. Sorry, but Paul Mariner was his coach, and Paul Mariner would just show them Arsenal tape. So we didn't get to see the games here at that time. We can,
right.
It was
those were the
really.
dark days.
My parents were going to pay the $300 for us to see one game, and so Paul show us tape or show them tape, and my best friend was like, "You're an Arsenal fan." I'm like, "Let's go," and we see those tapes, and that's how it became. And then once we could finally stream it or watch it, I watched every game. And once I become a fan, I go all in. And to be fair, mid 2000s was a pretty easy time to become an Arsenal fan. We had Henry. I mean, we had that whole squad. I think Fabregas had come in, and then we translated into the Van Persie. I mean, it was a very fun time. Right now are trying times. You're really proving yourself if you're a fan or not. So, but I'll always wear the badge. So,
imagine being an Arsenal fan and then moving to a different country where you can't really follow the team, and then latching back onto the team in 2006, in the fall of 2006,
right
after the Champions League final. That just suck. That's my story.
Right.
I mean, it became watchable and accessible, and I re-entered a point in my life where I could really kind of dive into it after the kids were not waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day, and I basically the stock market equivalent of buying high and selling low. But
right.
Speaking of buying high and selling low, Lee, I'm hearing there's been a bit of a change in England in the last 48 hours. How over or under 10 times you've been to the 12 pins since yesterday?
Oh, I haven't been here.
What are you waiting for?
I'm going to go past it on Thursday, so I'll have a little look in there. But
look in there. You just walk up, peek in the windows, and then keep going.
Just have a little look. Why not? So things have changed over the last couple of days. Blokes have not been getting home till 2-3 o'clock in the morning. It's ridiculous. They've gone to work, and all of a sudden they're doing extra overtime, business meetings. I don't know what's going on. Really.
I know it's crazy. The work ethic is just completely snapped back.
All of a sudden they're happy to stay out all night. I don't really know what's going on, but I'll tell you what. The unbelievable thing, it's quite cold over here. It's not been too bad today, but the last few days it's been cold. Mm-hmm. So. I think most people have been going to the pubs and ordering coffee because it's been that cold over here.
Exactly. That's true. That's the only place you can get it. Speaking of liquids, and this is the last thing before we get to Arsenal. I got to ask you, JJ, because I got a fellow Yank on the pod with me here. Let's put you into a kind of a hypothetical situation. You are in a hurry. You're a busy guy, and you got a need in 5 minutes or less for some boiling hot water. You got a water filter, you got everything you need, but you got to turn that water from cold into boiling hot. What are you doing?
Microwave.
Jesus, JJ.
I mean, if you're in a rush, absolutely. But
let me explain the last 2 weeks of my life with you. So I just started this diet. It doesn't look like it, but I've actually lost 10 pounds already. But I got about 400 left to go. Got 400 left to go. But part of that diet is having like soup that you heat up from like a powder, and you need boiling water, and you mix it together, and it's not soup, but it's soup. And it's right in the middle of the workday. So I tweeted a video out because I talked about it once. People are asking about it. Tweeted out a video of me making it that included me heating up water in the microwave. 3.5 minutes, done. And my God, you would have thought that I said something shitty about the Queen. Because, like, every single person I know that lives overseas and a lot of people that live here, they had the hump, as Lee Judges would say. They got the hump with me, and they couldn't deal with it. They're like,
I mean, does it really taste different? I mean,
what kind of cretin migrowaves their water? You use a kettle, and I'm like,
100%.
I'm envisioning somebody.
It was,
Lee,
but I was even saying that my nan used to call you a lazy bastard if you used a kettle to make tea. You should be using a teapot. You're just lazy. So you're just a cretin. You're a cretin and a blasphemer.
Cretin. When I think of a kettle, I was thinking of those teapots with the little, like the thing from Beauty and the Beast.
No class.
No. Yeah, look. So I now have class because I have finally bit the bullet. I was browbeaten. JJ, you're going to be disappointed in me because I didn't stick by my guns. I've been browbeaten out of the microwave water business, and I have purchased an electric kettle.
Well done.
Which I can now keep. Which I can now keep in my.
Is it pretty quick though? Is it pretty?
It doesn't. It did. You can watch the video that I'm going to be debuting later on of the opening of the kettle, the first use of the kettle, the making of the soup. It's everything I do is on camera, but yeah, it was 5.5 minutes, and don't worry, I'll edit out the different.
That's a long time to wait for hot water.
It is, but I will say, because it's sitting on the desk next to me, it's not 3.5 minutes. I got to stand there away from my computer, away from my email, all this stuff. Because a guy like me, you can't be away from your computer for more than a few minutes. So I can take the extra 2 minutes as long as I don't have to get up out of my seat.
If you stand near it and watch it, it'll take even longer than 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, because as they say, you know what they say. A watch Lee never boils. But yeah, so I'm thrilled by the new purchase. I hope that people will start accepting me more because, as Owen pointed out privately to me about 20 minutes ago, you care too much what people think of you. So anyway, I just wanted to update those of you who've been following the.
Man. If there's one thing that our audience tunes in for, it's our soup date of the day. We'll have to make that a weekly thing or a weekly thing. Soup date of the day. That makes no sense whatsoever, does it?
Well, look, today you're getting chicken noodle made in the brand new kettle, and the video will be released later because I didn't have time to edit it nor eat my sandwich today. So anyway, let's talk about Arsenal because normally we try to stave off the Arsenal talk for as long as we can because it's not something we want to talk about, but we actually have a win to talk about. So I'm going to pass the kettle to you, Owen, and. Oh, it didn't work.
We should get another.
and it's on you now. Let's talk about this game.
It's funny because even though you say that about a win, we normally do shows relatively quickly after the match. So it's been a couple of days, and I think something that we can cover in multiple ways tonight is the importance of that win and how significant or insignificant it actually was in terms of our season and what's achievable and stuff like that. But JJ, as it's your debut, we'll start with you, buddy, and we'll cover the starting 11. So the team sheet, as we always like to say, there's always a lot to be made about it when it first comes out, and there was maybe a few surprise names, whether that was through injury or through a different choice of selection. But what did you make of the team that Mikel Arteta selected?
Actually, I like the team. I know we're all going to jump to the first thing is Martinelli, right? I mean, that is the most beautiful thing that could happen. We've been watching his training. We've been watching I'm just flabbergasted that he hasn't been starting, but it's fine. We're paying probably so much money for these big names, and there might be some that involved with it that they're getting to start over him. I think it's going to change a little bit. Obviously, you see the energy that the whole team has when he's out there. I'm not the biggest Xhaka fan. I'm not. He did great. I'll tell you that. He played his role very well. I used to back him. I've lost it with him.
Is it the attitude? Is it the off the pitch stuff, or is it?
No, you know what? I don't care. You know what? Tell me to F off. I don't. I like that fire. That doesn't bother me. You know what? That doesn't bother me. We're booing you. Tell me to F off. Hey, I don't even care. Cool.
So it's actually form.
It's his mentality it's his mental toughness not mental toughness, but his choice making, right? So he you see Partey, he loses the ball. He gets back. He's not making a silly foul. He's not doing that. He just gets back and recovers. It's okay, dude. You're allowed to have a string of bad games. It's all right. But he goes and Grant's going to go and slide in the guy, get a red card, or he's going to foul in the box, to try to recover from his mistake. And he doesn't have to do that. He hasn't done that lately, but we all know he's prone
one
to
around the bend.
He is, and but I will say he's in pretty good form as of late, even though I'm not a fan. He's in good form.
See, with that, JJ, obviously, when we're talking about Granit Xhaka, he was filling in at left back for the absent Kieran Tierney, and it's a position that we haven't really seen him in that frequently. And he gained a lot of plaudits for the way he handled himself in that position. But is this another classic example of the Arsenal fans going from one extreme to the other too quick? Because everyone's hailing Granit Xhaka for being very good. And I would agree he was quite effective in that role. But was he even really tested? Like say, for example, we go up against Prague on Thursday and they've got much more pacey, tricky wingers. Is he going to be that good again?
Oh, he'll get blown by. He is so slow. His reactions are so slow. It's mind-blowing to me. We have all these young kids that are just quick, fast. And now I'm talking more his central role. Like you saw, Partey on Lazaret's second goal is a world-class pass. Is a world-class, that little deke, looked right up, one-touch pass, one-touch goal. Boom. Xhaka will never do that. He can pass the ball, but he just doesn't have that instinct to do that. And he has the ability to do it. He just doesn't have that instinct to do it. But again, going back to left back, he'll get eaten alive by any team besides Sheffield United. He's just.
We've seen it. We've seen him get eaten alive by Crystal Palace. So that's in the left back position. So that's all we needed to see. I actually saw that one with Judge.
Yeah, it's not his fault. He's in a position he normally doesn't play, but he just. Today's game, you have to have pacey backs, man. These wingers are fast. They come at you with pace, and. It just puts him in a position to get 2 yellows, to get fouls in areas that we don't need the fouls, and that's just you're really setting that up, and that's what's going to hurt us. But I applaud him obviously for our victory on Sunday, and he did a great job. And when it's due, credit's due, and so
it's funny. I think if there was ever a game for him to be in that position, this game was tailor-made for him in many ways. And funny, it'll be easily translatable to you two guys, but for me, he was really just playing like a quarterback role almost. He was just sit at the back with very little pressure applied to him and pick out passes at his own leisure. But Lee, jump into somebody who was an absentee from the starting 11, from the squad altogether, was Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And look, obviously he's come under his own sort of pressure and own critics over this past few weeks, but we're starting to slip into what I call that Mesut Ozil territory. And now I'm not saying that it isn't true whatsoever, but coming out to say that it's an absentee due to flu, what did you make of that position? And do you think that we're almost at risk now of spiraling into a bad situation with another high-paid player?
No, not really. I think that, listen, I think he probably did have the flu and all that. I think you have to go on the look at when he comes on Thursday. He played Thursday. When he come on, I thought he looked sharp, and I really did. I thought he done okay. He not turned the tie for us, but put it back on, put us back on the front foot, and we never looked like scoring until he come on. For whatever reason, he's ill now. I just think it's just lack of form this season for him. He's just not playing well, and. I'll be honest. Come last Thursday, I would have played him. It would have been my choice. I would have played him in place of Lacazette. But for me, current form, Lacazette deserves to be starting. I thought he played really well on Sunday. Listen, people, I tell you what, it really does annoy me. This week is I'm starting to get a little bit frustrated because. We've won 3-0, and all I've got is, Sheffield United ain't no good. This ain't no good. We ain't that,
Well, it's all your mates that are saying that. It's all your. And I'm not talking. I'm not talking about the ones on video. I'm just saying it's all the the Enfield boys and the guys that are talking about that say, it's just
get
Sheffield
it all
United.
over.
I agree with you.
Like, like people have been saying, look, Man United fans cheering. Oh, look, you celebrate the 3-0 win. I think it was only 2-3 weeks ago that they went to Old Trafford and won. So don't if you take these teams,
does it give you the ump?
Less than what you should, you will get found out. They're a Premier League side. So at the end of the day, the attitude has still to be spot on. Otherwise, they wouldn't have won that game, and they did.
See, this is a good one, Lee, because I asked this question to a couple of people on the open mic night, and while I think they gave some quite good answers, I still wasn't completely satisfied with what I was trying to put across to them or what I was trying to get out of them. So I think I'll throw this one out here now, and we can sort of open the floor, but I'll start with you, Lee. And it's that, why do we lack so much consistency? Like I hear people say about that the players are bad. People, like, say, for example, if I come out here and started to criticise Granit Xhaka, Lacazette, Rob Holding, a mountain of people would be on standby to jump to those players' defence and say, no, they are good, and you're overreacting and you're just hating or being negative. But then when I turn around and I say that, okay, well, I don't think that Mikel Arteta is getting enough from this squad, the first defence is, oh, well, the players aren't good enough. And when I hear those arguments constantly being put forward for everything that I try to say, or every reason I try to give for why we lack consistency over the season, then what do you think the reason is for our complete lack of consistency? Is it the team's poorly coached by the manager? Is it that the players aren't good enough? Is it that we had no pre-season? What is the reason that why these so-called dead players can give us a performance like that with fluid football, but then the next week turn into absolute dog shit and look like they're kicking the ball for the first time in their lives?
When you care too much about what people think about you.
Personally, I think it's the whole thing. First and foremost, the players are not good enough, because what I mean saying they're not good enough to do it over a consistent basis. Mentality. They can get themselves up for the game against Man United, or they can get their game up for against Spurs like they did, and then they drop off. I also think consistency of the manager's selection doesn't help when he keeps chopping and changing the team. I think that's another big thing, because I think he doesn't know his right team. The forwards this season have been missing chances when we've been on top of games, and then we've still got that little mistakeness at the back. I also think that there are players in the team that haven't got accountability, i.e., I'm not going to go too overboard with them. Leno's made 5-6 mistakes, still plays. Aubameyang has missed chance after chance, still plays up until recently. Doesn't matter how bad Granit Xhaka does, he plays, And then you look at other players in the team, like Pepe has one bad game, he's dropped. Lacazette misses a chance, he's dropped. So there's a little bit of that in there as well.
Sometimes they're dropped after having the best game of their season.
Somewhere, and we shall see on Sunday what happens, because I felt Martinelli done enough. Martinelli ticks all the boxes that Mikel Arteta wants. Somebody like that shuts down, presses from the front, works hard, shows energy, chases back, does everything.
He might just be a little raw, but you're right.
A little bit raw. Yeah, he's a little bit raw. Does everything that what Mikel Arteta does. But then come Thursday, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not in the team and Willian is, who's consistently not what you want to see when you tick the boxes.
Can I just even interject there just for 1 second? And it's about that Gabriel Martinelli argument, because and this is where I mean that there is sort of logical criticisms of Mikel Arteta, and I understand when people make that argument, and I think it's probably the most viable one, which is that he doesn't think that Gabriel Martinelli is maybe tactically astute enough to in comparison with maybe some more experienced players. But I'm sorry, Willian doesn't do any more than Gabriel Martinelli does defensively or positionally. Neither does Nicola Pepe, and neither does Aubameyang. It's fine turning around.
Let's say his thinking is well ahead of Martinelli because of his 12 extra years of playing football. His execution is already far behind Martinelli.
Yeah.
You need execution, JJ, not just thinking to do it. So, I mean, the tactical astuteness is something that, you can be very stubborn and pin onto that. But if you have a guy who's executing and his work rate is 3 times what the other person's work rate is, at some point that person's got to win out.
Right. And Aubameyang on the wing, he's the most predictable player. You get him the ball, you know exactly what he's going to do. He is so precise. You catch right, you get in trouble. That's why it needs to be, our striker, and that's it. And that's why you talk about inconsistency in the lineup. When you're bouncing and bunnying back and forth, don't do that. Just do like Man City. Just rotate the forwards. That's it. Rotate Lacazette and Aubameyang. One of them plays, one doesn't, and then you bring one on for the other. They're not scoring that game. Or they're
and the only player in world football that's ever been
so bad on the left. What's that?
The only player in world football who's ever been as predictable as he is, but still successful, that's ever gotten away with it, is Arjen Robben.
Yeah.
If you're not Arjen Robben, then you can't afford to have a guy out there who everyone knows what they're going to do.
I watched a little bit of PSG today. You know what I mean? Like Neymar. If he was playing for Arsenal, I swear to you now, fans would be going mad. Because he gives away the ball a lot and everything like that. Does this, does that. Of course, players are going to give the ball away. But he gives the ball away because he's trying to do something different.
If nobody ever gave the ball away, football would be a boring game, wouldn't it?
Of course, and you've got to try and make things happen. And what I like to see is Martinelli. He does try and make things happen. Say someone like Willian is a safe bet, and this is my argument sometimes with Arteta. The safe option, he is a ball retainer. He will keep the ball, won't lose the ball, but he doesn't do what Martinelli will lose the ball. But what I see on Sunday is a purpose down the left-hand side. There was always something going to happen. The ball whizzing across the box, shots off. Some of those shots were high, wide, and mighty. I don't care. I'd rather see that than us pouncing about the ball on the edge of the box, losing it, and then getting counter-attacked. So I don't understand it. And I will say this now, I ain't going to bet a lot of money on it. If you tell me, put some money on it today, that Martinelli starts on Thursday, because I'm not confident that he will. But,
no.
I look at that and I just think that's what it is. But I also think with Arsenal, and I think with our fan base as well, we get a win like we did again on Saturday, and it's still the doom and gloom merchants, you know what I mean? I'm moaning and groaning, and everything like that. What did Arsenal have to do to get everybody in this fan base happy? Win 7-0? You know what I mean? Come on, you're going to look 3-0 against a Premier League side away from home. For me, is good enough. It's a good day. So I ain't going to go overboard about it. But I expect us to go there on Thursday and do the same thing, because they're not that good. They're not that good a side.
No.
And that is what the expectation should be of Arsenal. Now, I'll be disappointed if we don't go there on Thursday and turn them over. Mm-hmm. And another thing about it, there's all doom and gloom. Manchester United, right, got a last-minute goal against Milan, right? And all the Arsenal fans I turned around and was speaking to that night, they'll still win. They'll still go through. That was Milan. And, but then we're expected, and on another thing, we're expected to beat Man United for this cup competition. But everybody looks at Man United and goes, they beat Milan over there. Oh, no, we won't beat Prague. We're not good enough. But then we're good at... But when it comes to the final, we better beat Man United. You can't have it all one way. You have to look at it and assess what's in front of you. Mm-hmm. Last Thursday wasn't good enough. It was shocking, if I'll be honest. You know what I mean? Attitude, players-wise, performances-wise, everything. Managers' decisions, shocking, right? But on Sunday, they got it right. And so, it's now, I think, down to Mikel Arteta to pick the right team and the players to perform. And they go hand in hand.
See with that, like we keep touching on. I think what we come off there, Gabriel Martinelli, and for me, he is a shoo-in, because for me, Gabriel Martinelli is not only very effective himself on the ball, but he's what I would call like a tempo setter. If somebody, if you're playing beside Gabriel Martinelli and you see his enthusiasm and his work rate, people naturally feed off that there. But JJ, somebody else that I think went under the radar during that game against Sheffield United.
It's like everyone's just like taking a sedative. It's like...
yeah, horse tranquilizer. But no, it's somebody else I thought went under the radar during that Sheffield United game was Pablo Mari. I thought he didn't put a foot wrong, and I think he was pretty close to perfect throughout that game. His distribution was fantastic. His defensive positioning was absolutely brilliant. And for me, much like Gabriel, and that's the point I was making about Gabriel Martinelli being a tempo setter, I very much feel that Pablo Mari, he's like a calming agent at the back. He makes everybody more relaxed. Everybody seems to do their job better with him on the pitch. And again, this is where do we have faith in Mikel Arteta to reward good play like that, because he hasn't done in the past. What did you make of Pablo Mari's performance, and do you think that he's maybe someone that's being overlooked as an almost like a shoe-in in our starting 11? Is he somebody that we sort of need to start implementing into that 11?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. He's had good and bad performances like any player, but again, when we talk about Arteta, Mari will have a good performance, and he's not going to start the next game for whatever reason. This is what he does, and it's like he's not giving players runs when they deserve it. So it's tough to get into a groove of just like a good game after good game when you're not given the chances. I mean, we see he's probably our best technically skilled center back. I mean, the guy, he's left-footed, he's brilliant. He's made mistakes. I mean, this is his first full season. He got injured last season.
Too. What a bargain.
It is a bargain. And this guy, it's like people are forgetting that. The Prem is no joke. Prem's the toughest league in the world, hands down. I'll put it out there. I know people, they'll yell at me, whatever. I truly think the physical aspect, everything. So when you come from a different league, it is really adjustment. I mean, let's look at Pepe right now. I mean, the guy is having such a hard time adjusting. I think it's just his adjustment, honestly. The guy's the most skillful player on our team.
Even Thomas Partey, you could say the same thing about.
Yeah. And,
the tempo's so different.
He need to adjust, But let's give him a run. I just give the guy a run. And, if he has 3 games or bad, say, okay, well, we gave him a chance at least. Why'd you buy him? To bench, sit on the bench?
Gabriel is young. He can take playing sparingly for a while while they go with the hot hand of Pablo Mari. You can occasionally play the two of them together, I suppose. But
that's what I was just going to say. Like it's such a common thing to see within football is 2 right-footed centre backs. We've seen it on numerous successful teams, and I understand systemically the disadvantages of having 2 same-footed players playing at the back, but for defensive security in a time where we have nothing but defensive fragilities, surely it's worth experimenting with playing our 2 best centre backs, 2 most secure centre backs, and given them both a go together. Surely, innit, Lee?
Yeah, listen, I've got no problem with Pablo Mari playing with Gabriel. What the problem again that I have is as soon as Pablo Mari plays a good game, people like to criticise Gabriel. You know what I mean? And I don't understand that. You know what I mean? Gabriel's done well this season. I think he's as JJ just said. You know what I mean? He's come into his first season and he's done well. Who had heard of Gabriel before this season? Not many people. You know what I mean? But he's done okay. He's done well.
Canton did 321 tactical breakdowns on him.
Tom Canton actually has been writing articles on Gabriel since he was a fetus.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I was the one that put him on to Gabriel, you know what I mean?
Of course you did. Yeah.
So
I like this, Lee Judges. What's going on with you? You're free. You're toxically positive. In my opinion.
No, you're
going to lose a lot of credibility on this show.
I will not be. I'll certainly be losing my stuff if we don't win on Thursday, because I think Thursday. If Arsenal don't win on Thursday and don't get through, you know what I mean, there's got to be consequences to accountability for that. You know what I mean? But I will stick with this team until they are not winning. That they can't get into the Champions League no more. And I've always said it, to get into the Champions League, there's 2 routes for Arsenal this season. That is the League and the Europa League. The League's gone. So they've still got one more option left. Until that option doesn't exist, then I'm going to back the team.
And then what are you going to do if that? I mean,
lose it completely and utterly. Lose it. If Arsenal lose to
I won't blame you for that in the moment. It's what happens after you finally get yourself back together.
Arsenal Football Club should be losing to Prague. There's no way. If they've got any ambition, these players to be in the Champions League and challenging things, they do not lose on Thursday. That's the manager and the players. If they don't win that game, then there's got to be accountability. If I was in on the board, I would be going right straight into Mikel. Why have you not done enough to get us into the semi-finals of this competition? I personally think, right, if he doesn't get him, he has got to at least get to the final of this to justify anything of this season. I really do.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
there's your segue.
And let's face it, guys. Come on. If you're looking to get into the Champions League and everything like that, these are teams. We're playing teams that would be in the group stages at best in the Champions League. They're not going to go deep. So come on. No excuses. No nothing.
Is his job literally on the line on Thursday to where if he loses it, he should be sacked in the morning?
No.
I mean, I don't think so. No, I'm not suggesting that we should be accepting the loss, but I mean, Lee, with that in mind,
listen, if I was on that board, right? I forget about fans thing and all that. Like, if he loses on Thursday, I would be going and saying, right, who are we looking at next? Who's the next manager? I'll be looking like, let's get on the phone, let's get refereeing, let's get this, do that, get it done. Because at the end of the day, you're 10th in the league, and you cannot get through a quarter final against who ain't even the Star Bucharest, Prague, or whatever they are. They're not even the biggest team in Prague.
Where did that come from?
They're not even the biggest team in Prague. Let's get this right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and if you want to come on there and defend and say, give him another thing, then fine.
Well, I think we're gonna. I think we're gonna hear that.
I shouldn't have complimented the judges because something is definitely turned.
You know, I mean, I've got people going on, this and that and all that. They ain't paying £80 to £100 and watching games when we can't even break down teams and score goals. Mm-hmm. So I do think he's definitely under the pump. 100% he is.
I'm just over this whole. Give a manager a year or two, and if you don't do it, you're out. Like, it is a process, right? First off, he came to a shitstorm. Let's be real. And I didn't really do much. He hurt us more than helped. Arteta came in, first off, won 2 trophies. People tend to forget that. You know, he came in and actually took a dismal club and actually gave it some success. And now he's implementing his system, and that just takes some time. You know, he's you can see his vision. That's a nice thing. Unai, you cannot see anything. I'm like, what is this guy doing right now? You know, one thing maybe that I say that we should listen to is that we should have maybe got Zaha instead of Pepe now when you look at it. But I just the whole Chelsea and Man City, how they all started you know what, you didn't win one season, you're out. This what they're putting
Hold on, I've got to pull you a task on this. Like, you know, the team that Emery has got is nowhere near at the ability of this team. Nowhere near has got the players that it's got at his disposal. Look at he's got Partey in there. He's got Gabriel in this side. He's got youngsters that have talent. Like, you know, Emery didn't have that. And you know, this. Listen, I'm not going to go too deep into it because we're still in the cup competition. But you know, 10th in the league isn't acceptable. I don't care if it's a 1 year, 6 months. It's not acceptable. I'm not, as an Arsenal fan that pays top money to go through a stadium. That is not acceptable. 10th. It's not.
Mike, this has actually worked out perfectly because I was saying
your segue, but I'm blown away by this. Is one of the best lead judges' performances we've ever seen. I mean, this is.
No, what I was going to say, this is really good because I think we're quite evenly matched in terms of, I think that you align much more with the thoughts of JJ, and I quite align with the thoughts of Lee. So obviously
turn this into an American thing. Why don't you?
So obviously we're right and yous are wrong. No, but some of the points that JJ
after next year, we have to see if we're 10th again next year. He's gone absolutely because. You're going to give him
10th in October.
Here's what I would. I'll put across some arguments, and either of the two is can Mike. That's my money in the super chat. That's mine. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to put some counter arguments across. Okay, so you mentioned there, JJ, the process and the culture. I would argue that it's an inconsistent culture where players are sometimes thrown under the bus and sometimes they're let off scot-free, where per performances are rewarded. And
we should be at the top, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
You guys are on the bottom where you belong.
And good performances are punished. That that at many times as well, he's been quite fortunate that his hand has been forced into making some of the changes that have benefited him and us in terms of stylistic play, i.e. Emile Smith-Rowe, i.e. Gabriel Martinelli this weekend. And I would say that we talk about a process, and it is good to see some sort of culture change, but I don't care what he's doing off the pitch as much as I care about what he's doing on the pitch, and the results will prove that we have gone backwards, not forwards. And at the end of the day, football is a results-driven business, and yes, you can allow time, but there has to be a point where people turn around and say, okay, this was a good idea to maybe try to go in this direction, but it just isn't working right now.
I agree. There has to be a point where you do that. I just think we disagree on whether that point is nigh, whether that happens on Friday morning or on May 26th.
But put it like this, okay? Let me just finish this one, okay? So you have to put into context, okay? So what you're saying there, Mike, is that if we don't win the Europa League and we finish in and around where we are now, that's fine. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's fine. No, I'm not saying you're saying it's fine. But
that is the narrative that people have, though, with people who, and where I was 4 months ago, right before the Chelsea game. I was almost right there with you.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that we can end at the same destination in terms of missing out on Champions League and finishing where we are. All I'm saying is that if we drop out to Slavia Prague this Thursday, that's not acceptable. If we lose to Manchester United in a competitive final, that completely changes the context of it. And I think I can't speak for you, Lee, but I would say that you're maybe along those lines as well.
100% I'm along those lines. I get what those guys. Look, listen, it's an argument. This is an argument, and that neither of us can win at this moment in time, because there are things that I agree with. What the process, I agree with what they're saying and all that. What I'm saying is, right, and this is what makes me laugh a little bit, right, is it's not acceptable, but we're prepared to let it go because it's a process. But come September, if we're in 10th, he's got to go. So so it's 3 months difference. And we're going to let it go. That's the thing. And if you're saying that, right, then you can't have a lot of faith in the manager because if you believe in it, that ain't going to happen, is it? We're going to be right up there next season because you believe in it. But people are turning around and saying to me, well, if it comes September, October, we're where we are. Hold on a minute.
Because at that point, he will have had the opportunity, and JJ, jump in. I'm sorry, we've kind of been going around. If he's had the opportunity to have a summer of influence, a second summer of influence that is somewhat less abbreviated and awkward than last summer, and I get that everybody's in the same situation. If he has the chance to put his mark on the team and whatever players he decides to put out there next August, September, October, 14 games in, whatever you want to call it, and they're not responding to him. If we're still dropping points to Burnley and to Villa and to West Ham and showing up every other game against a top 6 opponent, if that's still happening, then I will gladly admit that I was wrong. Yes, you could say maybe we'll be 4 months further back.
Not wrong, Mike. You're not wrong. You're backing the manager. Why are you wrong? No one's wrong. No one's right. This is what I keep arguing. People do that. No, you're not wrong with what you're saying.
Is this the face turn now that you're doing after the?
No, I don't. Listen, I've got no. I know how you from the fence.
I mean, we've talked a ton of. I mean, I know how you feel. I'm just since we're having this debate on air.
Do you think Arteta's not getting the most out of his players? Is that what it is? Because, I mean, he also didn't get to spend $75 million on a player like United.
You got 50 million from Thomas. Near 50 million. Near 50.
45, 50 million.
And look at the comparing of those signings, and he saved us $25 million on that signing compared to a Pepe, right? A Pepe who's literally fighting against a 19-year-old. Like, I'm not saying, Saka's, one of the best players, I think, in the league right now. The kid's unbelievable. Don't get me wrong. So that's unfortunate for him. But, you have to give him that chance to spend a little more. Just I think he sees our pieces, what we really need. He's getting to work with these youngsters. He's really getting to work with these youngsters. ESM, Saka, Martinelli. He's going to have all these guys. We are a piece or two away.
Here's a question from Matthew De Souza, JJ. Okay, and it's if we don't have faith,
Sam, by the way.
Yeah. If we don't have faith in Arteta at the end of the season, why would he give him 100 million in the summer? And I made this point on a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and it's that, and maybe I'm wrong. Okay, and I'll put Saka as the outlier here. So push Saka aside. I'm not sure that Mikel Arteta does get the best out of his players, because I think that I can see, and there could be numerous reasons for this, not just Arteta. I think I see regression in a lot of our players. I think that Thomas Partey's early displays were much better than we're seeing now. I think that ASR's display has gone downhill since he debuted, or since he came back against Chelsea.
There are some external factors there.
No, but then Gabriel at the back, I think that he has shown slight regression as well. Really? And my question as well is that. I think Gabriel was much more solid in the early parts of the season. And my question is Mikel Arteta's overcoaching having a negative impact on these players?
Or is the Prem having a negative impact? That the Prem is beating up on these young kids. Like, they're all finally getting first team runs, and they're going to get to the big boys, the big lads. The boys are going to punish you. You get hit hard, and they're really, this isn't U19s. This is
you can go too much on certain things, like blaming. Like let's get a couple of things like this. Partey's never been fit. Let's be honest. He's coming into the team,
and that's why I said he
came in on deadline day.
I'm going to give him a part because you haven't been out of training. Like, listen, Gabriel, for instance, got COVID, and it took him a long while to get over that. There's players in the Premiership like the Newcastle lad. It took 4 months for him to get over it. So I think that there are things like that to be said. Like what worried me a bit. I think that you can. And this people call me a flip flop and say I'm on the fence and all that. I can see both sides of the argument. I can see what like that is where I am. I see things like Saka's become really good. I think Smith Rowe's played really well. Tierney's been fantastic for us. You know what I mean? Like so. There's been some really good things. The downside is Aubameyang's dropped off form. I also think he hasn't been able to get. And I think JJ said it, probably the most skillfulest player that we've got in the team in Pepe. He hasn't been able to get a tune out of him consistently. Martinelli's been left out for whatever reason. There's no consistency in who plays up front, whether it be Aubameyang. Eddie had a few bleeding games at the area before Christmas, which is a joke, and so there are all those little things that make me think that, then you get the performance against Spurs. This is my big worry. You get the performance against Spurs because you've got to be up for that. I don't think it's as a manager, it's not hard to get a team up against Spurs. That is
that's natural.
That should be the next four games.
But we haven't on a consistent basis. I know we've had our 4-2 win. We've had our but over the last since Arsene Wenger
is that you can't put this on Arteta. I don't know if you guys play competitive sports. I played my whole life, and I played through college, everything.
Lee just sits on the couch.
Players need to step up and stop fucking laughing in the locker room and joking around and hugging each other. When's someone going to slap the other guy on the back of the head and say, "What are you doing?"
Yeah,
stop laughing. You think Kobe Bryant after a loss would go walk in there and be laughing? He would rip every single player apart and be, "We're going to go practice right now. This is embarrassing."
But see,
we don't have that.
This is my worry because
Bunny's going to be everyone's best friend. He's not going to be the champion. He's not going to be the I don't care if you don't like me, but you're going to win with me. He's not. Mm-hmm. He's not that guy, and that's okay. That's just not who he is.
We don't have them. We have maybe one in Kieran Tierney, and my worry is that players like that with that sort of positive mentality might get the Alexis Sanchez treatment, where it's that you're too competitive. That's classic Arsenal all over, and people like that won't hang around. The likes of your Thomas Partey, the likes of your Kieran Tierney, and even the likes of, that's who we need. That's who we need in the midfield.
The guy on the left or the right?
Both. A merger.
Listen, I've played for there are games. I don't care what anybody says. There's games you're up for, and there's games you're not up for as much. It's natural. So what you have to get is a manager has to get into you and make sure you're up for it. Worries me about Arsenal, and the biggest thing is we go and beat Man United away, fantastic. We don't win for 10 games after that. You know what I mean? We beat Spurs. We haven't won for 4 games afterwards. They're the little things that have got to be ironed out. Look at what comes after it, not what's on the thing there. And that is the one thing that I'm saying, like, you know. And I honestly listen. If this team, right, is not up for this game on Thursday, it's not all on Arteta. The players have surely got to be up for this game as well. Now, I didn't think that they was up for the game on Thursday, and this is my problem. I think there is a little bit of time. Arsenal played very, very well on Sunday. Why? Because there's no pressure. Right. There's pressure on this game on Thursday, and I think that sometimes we buckle under that pressure. That is when you need an experienced manager that's been there, been round the block, that can get you through that game. Now, Mikel is learning on the job, and that's where I say, yeah, okay, let's let the process go. But somewhere along the line, there is accountability. There's got to be accountability. If you cannot get through this, listen, and I'll say this now, we have got, and forget about next season. Let's go on to the next season. We have got an easy chance, right? An easy chance to get to Europe, to Champions League. It is a lot easier now than it will be next season, right? Because we won't be in the Europa League next season, and we've got to get into the top 4 to get into the Champions League. We have an opportunity of getting into the Champions League now, and that is my thing. And if you cannot do it now, you ain't going to do it next season when it's 10 times, 15 times harder. And that is my problem.
We might have more rest as many injuries, which is Arsenal's biggest problems. That we have so many games. We're an injury pro team. I don't know. Whoever is taking care of our boys, we have to talk to them, because
we asked one of the medicals to.
We had the ex-Arsenal physio on, and he pointed out, the physios get them back to health. They don't actually prevent them from getting injured in the first place. It's the training that gets them injured.
I mean, that right there is mind blowing to me.
Can I draw something?
We want to prevent. We don't want to just heal them, Yeah.
Can I draw something out of Lee? Lee, you mentioned something there about Thursday's last Europa League game against Prague, and you were saying about the players weren't up for it. And it's funny because this is going to be the first thing I think we sort of disagree on a little, and it was an actual sort of bit of a debate I was having with one of your old co-hosts, Kevin Campbell, when he was on with us, and I was arguing that they didn't look up for that game. They were extremely negative. The line sat very deep. The forward line didn't press enough from the front, and I was saying the players just didn't execute their jobs. But my problem was, and you'll know this from playing, and I managed a Sunday League side, and I was saying that might be the players, but it's up to the manager to make an example out of the people that are responsible for that lack of performance during the match while it's happening. So say, for example, if your backline is sitting too deep and you're relaying the instructions to move that backline higher, to start the press higher and stop sitting so deep and inviting pressure, you can ask once, you can ask twice. If you don't do it the third time, I don't care whether it's the 10th minute, the 20th minute, or the half time, whenever, you turn around and you take one of them players off to say, look, either you follow the instructions or you're fucking sitting on the bench for the rest of the game. And that's
the lack of doing that may be something that you can chalk up to inexperience.
Yeah, but he's just not proactive enough. So surely Mikel Arteta has, and this is my problem. I'm not saying
talking about Shirley. I don't know who that
is. She's my nan. What was going to say? R.I.P. bro. But I'm not saying that he's solely responsible, but to completely remove responsibility for such simple mistakes to eradicate from the performance, you have to put some blame on Arteta.
I get what you're saying, but like let's just break down Thursday's performance. It wasn't the greatest performance in the world, but if the players do their jobs properly, and I'm not just saying about running hard and doing this, doing that. You've got forwards in there that have had golden opportunities. Right?
Talking Aubameyang missed guilted his
Aubameyang
edge
missing,
chance.
not just him. There was 3 or 4. If Arsenal win that game 3 or 4,
I mean,
which
Lacazette,
I
none
think
of
they
them.
should have done.
Yeah, I love
right.
it.
Then you turn around and go, well, look at it's fine margins. Isn't it? You completely change with what's going on. What I see on the one thing that bugged me a little bit about Arteta, I see him on the line, frustrated as hell. You could see that he couldn't believe what he was seeing with what was going on. All that. What I would turn around and say is he didn't make the substitutes early enough. Like if he'd have made them another 10 minutes earlier, we looked much better with those. So that's something that he's hopefully going to learn from, and that mistake was made, and we learn from it.
Yeah,
but ultimately, it's been happening a lot this season. We've been missing chances. Now it's a big decision for him on Thursday. Who does he go with, Aubameyang or Lacazette? It's as simple as that. What I think he may do, like he always seems to do, I'll try and shoehorn Aubameyang into the left-hand side. He cannot do that. He's got to have the balls to make the right decision, what an experienced manager would do. And that, I don't care if he's a top earner. I don't care if he's the biggest whatever. If he's not playing well, you drop him. Now, I look at someone like Solskjaer a minute, who's in the same sort of boat as Mikel Arteta, has had a big decision to make in the goalkeeping department, and he's done it. But again, he's rotated a little bit, and he like with playing him in the Europa, playing him whatever.
It's
when
this ego management thing that's so it's so tough to know what's going on behind the scenes.
Mike, he has got to make that big decision.
I agree.
He can tittle-tattle his way around it at the moment because of games. But come the cup final, he has to make that decision. So his big decision is 3 or 4 weeks away. Arteta's comes on Thursday. He needs
to be Lacazette. We all know that. Aubameyang needs to be on the bench, come off. And you know what? What that should happen is that should light a fire under Aubameyang's ass is what it should do. Being like, this is a pressure game, and he's sitting me right now.
Yeah.
My coach is telling me he doesn't have the faith in me right now. I need to get that trust back. I need to be finishing the ball. That is what a good a professional would do. They take that. They don't get upset. They don't get butthurt because – and again, my whole thing with Aubameyang, I'll tell you, he got paid. He got paid and he got comfortable. When he didn't have that big check coming in, he had a big check coming in, but not as big. Coming in, he was still fighting. He was fighting and proving. He felt he proved it. He's like, I walk in this team. I'm the man of this team. Well, you're not. And that's what Arteta needs to do. But listen, that's great. We'll keep paying you. We did it with Ozil. We'll keep paying you. But guess what? We need to hammer. We need the best out of you. And I think it's that I got paid mentality. Unfortunately, he's lost.
I didn't see that happening with him, but I think there's something going. There's something going on that's more than the flu, and it's more than calf injury, which I didn't buy either earlier in the season. The thing with his family, obviously that was legit, but there's something going on, and it's making me a little bit nervous because I've backed him to return to form. But that changes when it's about off-pitch stuff, being late for the derby as the captain.
But that for me, that's where I will draw a line and say that I won't overreact with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang because the family trauma that he has suffered this year is, I think, a genuine reason that's out of his control. Football in many ways, like a lot of sports, is just an emotional game, a confidence game, and it's as much about what's going on inside your head as it is at your feet. So for me, we can't be overly critical of a player as well that has pulled us through seasons entirely on his own. So for me, I'm going to reserve judgment on him until maybe the beginning of next season, when I really think that unless there's further developments, there should be no excuses once the next season kicks off.
So I got one thing I want to do real quick. We got to recognize some people that have given us super chats, and by the way, it's appreciated. You don't have to do it, and frankly, put that money into a little kitty and then put it into Gooners versus Cancer when we get that started up in a few months.
No, keep them coming. I just bought a house today. I need the money.
That's actually true. You said we need about, what, $7 and you can buy the house? And now we have it. So
I know I might look like a tramp, but I don't live in a cardboard box. Fuck.
So thank you to Sam Tressiter. When was the last time we were in the Champions League? Why is the expectation for Arteta so high after one full season? I mean, I think we've pretty much gone full circle on Arteta. But it's been a spiral that keeps getting worse since Arsene Wenger, and we keep looking for the instant jolt that gets us back up there, and I'm not sure that that's possible. Thank you, Sam. And then we also have Big Steve Warrington. He's joined us on one of the open mic shows. Big up the judge. Congrats, Mike, on the new kettle. If you missed the beginning of the show, yeah, the kettle is in the house. One last thing on Aubameyang. I obsess over really weird stuff, JJ. That's just one last thing on Aubameyang, and this will be. I wanted this to be the beginning of the discussion, but let's make it the end of the discussion. If some team comes in this summer, and we debated this a bit on Tom Cannon's
I like this
podcast.
question. I love this question. It's good.
If a team comes in this summer and says, we're going to offer you X transfer fee for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang straight up, which of course means that his wages will also be off the book, and the last 2 years of the contract will be off the books. It's a do-over in a sense. What is the amount of money below which you say, no, we're holding on to him? So in other words, like, what amount would you take? And if it's below that, you would not sell him. You'd actually keep him. Lee,
that's hard. That's hard because of his form, man.
But that's the thing. Like we don't know necessarily what he's got left.
If you offer 85, I say
real $85 million or pounds.
I'm gonna knock it. I'm gonna knock it down.
You think it should be more?
If someone offers £70 million for Aubameyang based on his age, based on everything else that's going on, where you don't know whether he's going to win the Golden Boot next season or continue along the trajectory. Someone offers you $70 million, you're not selling him. $70 million and the wages off the book. I mean,
you have to look at his past. He's been one of the best goal scorers in the world for years. He's really having a bad season right now, but he has been prolific. I mean, he's been phenomenal. And when you think about it, if a PSG comes in, who's feeding him the ball? You have Neymar. You have a lot better players than we have feeding him the ball. You're going to give
his success at PSG is not necessarily relative to
or Barcelona, right? Aren't they looking for a forward? I believe Barcelona is showing us. But you have one of these. Listen, we could get the best out of him, and when you get the best out of him, he's the best he's one of the best in the world. And let's be real, they all have a lot of money. So why we?
Okay, so 75 is your number, Judge.
It's a difficult one. I think that he's 31 years of age, so he's not going to be about for 2 or 3 years. Listen, I do agree with JJ. This if he'd have banged in 20 goals this season, no one would be talking about it, would they? You know what I mean? Like it's a no-brainer. But for whatever reason, he's not scoring goals at this minute of time. Do I blame him? No, I don't. I think at the beginning of the season, I think with Aubameyang, and I still say this, he turned around and he said, I'm looking forward to playing with Aouar next season and everything like that. I think he was given promises, not just about signing a big contract. That certain players were coming to the club and they weren't there. And the creativity before Christmas was non-existent, guys. It was absolutely woeful. I don't blame Aubameyang for that. Since Christmas, we've got a little bit better with Odegaard coming in and Smith Rowe. But 40 million. I'll tell you what. If someone comes in for 40 million, it's no good. It's no good getting 40 million or 50 million for him and then not replacing him with someone. We've got to beat someone out there.
Forget like what we do to replace is a second part of that question. It's just a pure offer.
Listen, if you get 40 million for him, I'll take it.
40. Okay. Oh, and I think we're going down. This is like the Price is Right, but we're going down.
Okay.
We ain't going to get 50. We ain't going to get over 50 million for a 31-year-old on £400,000 a week. You ain't going to get him, Mike.
But if the offer came in, you would take it at 50 or 40. What was it? 40?
40.
You would take it. 35. You're saying no. Okay.
35. I'll have to think about it.
Okay. I'm gonna give my explanation and then a number. Okay. So
no,
I think
give me a number first.
I thought it was
no. I want to make it a big surprise. You know, it's probably not really going to be that good.
That's why.
So I'm thinking that when we look back at this Aubameyang deal, it highlights everything that's been wrong with Arsenal's business over the last decade or even longer. I think
Paying for past performance.
No, I think that the club get themselves into that much of a pickle that the panic and hand out huge deals to the fan favorite player to try and keep the fan base happy, rather than actually being productive in the transfer market and getting in someone logical to take a club forward in the long term. I also think as well that everybody has their sell-by date, and it's just natural, regardless of how good of a player you are, that you naturally drift off. And I also think that a player of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's profile doesn't suit the type of system that Mikel Arteta is trying to implement within this side. He's not well-rounded enough. So, taking into consideration his wages, the length of contract that he has left, and his age, and this season's performance, regardless of the reasons, we're not talking about whether I'm casting judgment on Aubameyang anymore. This is just business. I would take anywhere from between 15 to 20 million for him to move him on.
Can I ask a question?
But you have to put into context, it's £12 million a year on wages, I think it is.
Yeah, it's 12 million a year in wages, possibly more.
When you buy someone for 60 million when they're 28, should you be looking to think, well, in 5 years' time or 4 years' time, we need a resale value? You're actually buying that player realistically with no sell-on value. So why have we got?
Arsenal does that anyways. We hate selling players.
But then you have to start to take into account. Sorry, Mike, before you give your answer, when you're investing in a player like that, someone who is 27, 20, a premier player, for example, Thomas Partey, 50 million. The question you have to ask yourself is okay, we're going to lose money in sell-on value, but we are going to gain money in prize money.
Aubameyang's done his job then, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, arguably not. No, because we haven't achieved Champions League football under him, or we haven't won the Premier League. FA Cup's the most, which is very little financial reward. So that you have to take into account that when you go to buy a prime age player, which is what we've been doing wrong. We've been spending money on people who are too old, and Canton actually puts this really well. So if you imagine a player's career as a link of chains, chains in a link. So you've got 3 links, and you've got the first club that they're at, the club that they move to, and then they go to their big club to finish their career. We always commit at that second stage or that third stage when their market value is extremely high and their sell-on value completely depletes. Whereas we need to start to be the first link in the chain with the likes of those Dominic Szoboszlais, maybe like we are with, say, a Gabriel Martinelli and stuff like that. So
we have a lot of those guys now, and we're going to need some money in the bank to make sure that they don't to keep that core together, assuming that there's some success and they all want to stay together.
Yeah, and it's like even a better question to ask you, Lee, to argue my point about that low sale value. Okay, before Mike jumps in after gives his long-awaited answer. But if somebody turned around to you and says, if it was a straight swap for Aubameyang for Basuma, would you take it?
No, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. But that's exactly. What I'm saying is a 15 to 20 million fee for him makes a deal like that affordable.
Yeah, and we've don't forget, if the rumours are true, we've Balogun is going to sign a new contract. You know what I mean? So that means that's a young player that scores goals. At every level he's played at. So you've got to take the risk on that. You're right with Martinelli. You're right with Smith Rowe. You're right with Saka. We have got those players now. 4, 5, 6 of them. Gabriel, 22 years of age. 6 players like that. Then we've got the Thomas Partey, who's a little bit in their prime. So things are on the right. I think on the right keel for that.
I wouldn't mind Thomas Partey being the elder statesman of our team in a year or two.
Yeah, and go down that sort of route. But when you look at Aubameyang, you've got Lacazette as well, that's in the same sort of situation. That we've got with that. I can't see us realistically saying at this moment in time, we'll sell both of them, and then go with the younger guys. You know what I mean? So if we are going to sell them, which we could well do, you're taking a big risk then to say, right, we're going to rely on Martinelli and Balogun. You know what I mean? I don't think we can do it. For me, I'm not worried about he cost us 60 million like from that. We signed him as a contract.
Cost. That has nothing to do with whether we sell him now or not. I mean,
just
it's just
keep
not
him there.
financially.
Unless you get a silly. I see what you're saying. If you get a silly, if you're going to get 25 million for him, well, no point.
I am concerned.
Money, then take it, but otherwise keep him there. I don't see what.
I'm concerned that this trend is a continuing trend. I'm more concerned about that now than I was 3 months ago during the worst of his performance. I think I look at this as an opportunity, if a bid like that came in, to get a do-over, to free up wages on the wage bill, that, to where our highest paid player goes from being, $350 down to, 200 maybe even. And there's a wage structure again. And to get any fee out of him compared to what we would have had if we didn't re-sign him over the summer, to me is an improvement. My number is 15. And if someone came in with 10 and said, I'll take him off your wage bill, and we have a plan in place, I'm considering it. I mean, JJ, I'm blown away by your number. I respect it and I love it.
I just think he's still he's going to give you his wages. Yes, that's going to hurt, but I still think he gives you 3 solid years. Like if he gets back in form,
if I was convinced of that,
if he's in form this year, we're not in 10th place. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
I'm with JJ. I do think it's just a form thing at the moment, but this is a guy that's
like Jose Mourinho, though. This is kind of his MO. He's got that 3 or 4 year before it all turns kind of MO at his former clubs, Dortmund and I think Saint Etienne before that. It'd be an unusual but probably welcome for Arsenal to be on the leading edge of kind of predicting something happening and acting on it, rather than suffering from being on the back end like we were with Aaron Ramsey, like we were with Mesut Ozil, like we were with so many players. Santi Cazorla, we extend for a year, he doesn't play once, and then we sell him, and now he's good again. I mean, like we've just been on the wrong side of every single decision, and being proactive, even if you end up being wrong, as we have with some of the players we've sold, Ren Adelaide, Serge Gnabry, but that's fine because you're at least evolving and moving on. So, JJ, I know you got to run. You've been with us for an hour 15. It's been great. We definitely got to do this again.
Yes.
Judge, are you okay for a few more minutes?
Yeah, I'm all right for another.
He loves it.
Time over. I don't know what song was it. Yeah, go on, you. As it's you, Mike. As it's magic, Mike.
I have no idea what he just said, but I think that was a compliment. But JJ,
I appreciate it, fellas. And it's always good talking about the Gooners. And let me know when you want me back.
It's a pleasure,
buddy. Anything you want to plug? To our 48 current viewers, which actually quite nice. Highbury squad ended. A few more people rolled over here, but where can we find you? Where can we interact with you? If you want to be
at the vacation. Yeah, it's at the Vacation JJ on Instagram and Twitter. Go ahead, make fun of my pictures and stuff. We have some fun banter, but I love the more Gooner families, the better for me, man. I love talking shop, and over here in America, it's harder to run into Arsenal fans, but when we do, it feels like you're running into family, which is great. So
it's honestly the reason we do the podcast, is to just enhance, kind of widen our circles. And
right.
If not for that, I would have never met this guy and that guy. So I mean, it's fantastic. So we will do it again. Thanks for joining us, JJ.
Sounds good, guys. You have a good day.
Take care,
buddy.
Bye.
Cheers, JJ. Nice guy.
Oh, great guy.
Love me some JJ. That you will be seeing him again, dude. I just heard we're getting 85 million for Aubameyang. That is the greatest thing I ever heard. No, I mean, look, there is no wrong answer to that because they're opinions, but I was blown away by that. But let's hope. Let's hope Aubameyang.
I do agree with what he was saying here. This is a player that guarantees you goals every season, bar this one. So why is he not score goals this season?
Well, let's put a bow on the Aubameyang thing. There's a few more things we want to talk about.
So you can't answer it, can you? So let's move on.
I've already said why he can't score goals, because he's not being fed the ball from Lee Judges. Footballer extraordinaire, Lee Judges.
See, no, but see here, keep that picture.
I didn't show the version of you getting your balls sprayed by the magic spray.
No, keep that picture up for me there. Now, this is the problem with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Look at Lee's picture on the left. He's got a nice head of hair, smiling. Surely he was in the form of his life. But look, he changed his haircut and he looks fuming. And that's the problem with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
I'm enjoying myself there. You know what I mean? It's just that's the concentration level. You know what I mean? So,
the thing that I'm shocked is that the studio did a really good job of adding color to that picture. Because the original has to have been black and white. I mean...
I should have done it in black and white. What it was is because they were from a distance, you know what I mean? I've had to zoom in a bit and I lost a bit of colour on them, like, you know, so it wasn't great. But
God damn it, I love you. All right, so one more thing about the game. If there was one moment in the game, and a pretty successful game overall, I mean, as it should have been, hopefully was, one moment in the game that gave you pause, an individual error that you can think of that just blew you away, Lee, what would that have been?
First goal, I thought it was sensational.
No, I'm talking about an individual error on like I'm bringing in the negativity.
Why do you have to bring negativity into a 3-0 win? This is what I'm saying with you, Mike. You know what I mean? Like, be positive. You know,
because it's setting up a bit that I'm going to do. So I mean, there was one point in the first half of the game that I just could not possibly understand.
Go on, you tell me then, because I was looking at the positives.
All right, let me change your name again. Hold on. I've been changing your name this whole podcast.
Oh no, I've seen it bang out of order, like, you know what I mean? Now, let's just talk about that first goal. That was poetry.
It was Norwich. It was Norwich light. It was like Norwich Junior.
Flick from Sabaya. I thought it was a fantastic goal. But come on, you go on to the negative stuff. Come on.
You're trying to get a segue here, and it's really difficult to pick out a negative moment. It
was the second half, actually, and it was when Bird Leno punched the ball
that
was just gently falling into his hands that he literally could have basket catched.
I'm worried about Leno.
I'm team Matty Ryan. I still think we're overlooking this dude, and I know I'm ruining your segue here, Mike, but I don't give a fuck. I don't know, man. Matty Ryan is being underused, but anyway, go. What do you want me to say?
Who do you prefer Matty Ryan to?
Burned Leno.
No, say it like you don't. Say it like you.
Man, I can't say it like that. It's like Bird Leno. Say that bird is there. What's that?
Bird Leno.
Well, do you know what? It doesn't. Hey, Bird. I ain't worried about him. Like, I mean, I ain't worried about him. And you, be honest.
Yeah, I have had my concerns with him for a long time.
I mean, he hasn't had the best of seasons. He's made some individual errors. He's also kept us in some games. I'm Team Leno, but I mean, when the issue is that you punch the ball out when you don't need to sometimes, and that you spill it, and then you go and do that, you know, there's the David. We go with the Davids and the Davids. Like, you know, if you're David Luiz, but you have a shit game, you're David Luiz. I'm jumping on this now because there's Burned Leno and then there's Bird Leno, as Owen says, and you know, the only player that wasn't probably at a 6.5 or 7 or above in that game for me, and he's this is with a clean sheet, was Bird Leno. So which one do you like better, the Big Bird Leno or this guy?
Big Bird. Big Bird.
Bird. Hey, Bird. All right. So
what a great program that was, by the way, Sesame Street. Come on.
What age, man? You must have been like 20 something watching that.
Sesame Street guy.
He's like huge.
I did like it. I liked it. Yeah.
Is there not like a British equivalent?
Peanut butter sandwiches.
Is there not a British equivalent of Sesame Street? Is there like I don't know. I mean, I always thought Coronation Street was.
You learn from it as well, didn't it? You did your counting and everything like that. I thought it was a very, very good program. You know, you Americans done well there.
So much so that you patterned your life after Oscar the Grouch.
Coming out of two great programs. Thank you.
Actually,
very much.
You do kind of look like the Count, to be honest with you. I haven't looked at the comments in a while, but someone must be coming up with that. But anyway, count to 10.
Everybody likes Sesame Street, didn't they?
This is your tryout. Count to 10 right now, and we'll see. And just go Okay. Now, anyway, if there's any user questions, get them in now. I'm sure they won't have anything to do with Arsenal, but we got about 5 or 6 minutes left. let's talk about a couple of the concepts that we're doing now, because we're trying to kind of go out, think outside the box a little bit, get the Gooner family a little bit more involved, get to see some names and faces put together. We see these names in the chat all the time and on Twitter all the time. We want to see your face if you can. So
In a football kit.
yeah. So what we've been doing is the day before the games. So this is Wednesday for Europa League games, and generally speaking, Saturday for our league games. We're looking for 10 to 30 second game prediction videos. Just take a selfie video of yourself, predict the score, and that's it. You can add something to it, be funny if you want, be serious if you want. Just give us your name, the city you're from, and your prediction, and DM it to us. You can send it to us by Twitter at the Gooners Pod. You can send it to us by email at gooners@thegoonerspod.com if it's small enough to send by email. If you're a friend of mine on Facebook, then just DM it to me there. But let us know, because we got 28 predictions for the last game, 1 correct one, 5 or 6 hilarious ones, including this one, which I have to play from I think this is the recording artist Bad Bunny.
I'm not feeling positive about it, if I'm being completely honest. I'm going to go for a 2-1 loss
To Sheffield United.
to our bad run of form. Going to be tough.
Well, boy, do you know your football or what?
Who was that clown?
I know, absolute moron.
Keep it up. You better not predict a win for the next game, because we're as they say here, we're 1-0 with your shit picks. So that's one thing we're doing. The second, we've been doing this for 3 weeks running now, is the open mic post game show. So what you do is you watch the game first of all, then watch your favorite post game show, whether it's Highbury Squad, which obviously we highly recommend. Whether it's the Gooner Talk, it's any. There's a lot of great stuff to watch after the game's over. But then an hour later, so if it's a 3:00 game, it's at 6:00 at night. We're going to be doing an open mic show, and all you got to do to be on it for 5 or 10 minutes, you can kind of practice being like judges, minus the picking of the teeth. And come on, just go to GoonerOpenMic.com. It's GoonerOpenMic.com. That will always be the link, and it'll forward to the studio when we're doing a live show, and have your say. And lately, we've been getting 7 or 8 people post game. It's been a real good conversation. Some of the same names. We want to keep those guys and girls coming in. Everyone's welcome. But if you're a debut, if you're breaking your duck, we will move you to the front of the line, because we want to hear some different voices. So we're doing those an hour after the final kickoff of every game. So, Owen, are you going to be with me again for the late one on Thursday?
I think so. I'll get back to you. To you. But I'm more interested in this question, Mike, if you want to segue on that. But there's the link, and it will be posted in the chat as well prior to the show starting. But Lee, a very intriguing question here from Daniel Robert. What's your favorite soup?
Tomato.
Oh, that's it. You look like a tomato. Canned.
Yeah. None of that old cup of soup and all that, and silly diet soup that Mike's on. Proper Irons tomato soup.
And I want to address the Bulgarian Gooner, Drago, here, because he has for days and for weeks now kind of taken the piss for not knowing what real soup is or cooking it on the stove. The point isn't that I like this soup better. It's that this is a 100-calorie soup that I have got to eat as part of my diet.
Do you go into like a gourmet restaurant and be like, just make sure he microwaves the water?
Yeah, can I just have some hot water, because I have my packy with me of I'm looking for it now. But it isn't by choice that I'm eating chicken noodle soup out of a bag.
Do you want to know what? I think that there's a couple of good questions coming in here as well.
Yeah, let's get them
they're slightly off topic from Arsenal, so we'll go around the board. I think this is a sort of cool thing to do because we talk about football so much.
And, and you know, it's enough with the magic mic already.
Ho, 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 it's magic.
All right, listen, I've got to go to bed in a minute. Do you mind? Do you know what I mean?
Lee, favourite Beatles song?
Oh, Strawberry Fields Forever.
So have you visited Strawberry Fields? You've been up to Liverpool enough. Have you visited?
Yeah, do you know, I wouldn't say, I quite like a few of the Beatles songs. Wouldn't say I've got a real favourite, to be honest.
Come Together's good. Me and my missus play that during intercourse. It's keeps us in rhythm.
This is my favorite song. This is the entirety of the lyrics of my favorite Beatles song, and it's their last one. So the end.
Okay. Yeah.
And
nice
in the
one.
end, the love you take is equal to the love you make, and that, my friends, is how you live your life.
Another one that we'll throw up, another music-related one we'll go around the board with. I think we'll start with you, Mike. Favorite singer / band.
Favorite singer, Chris Cornell.
Such an American.
It's a tie. It's a tie between Chris Cornell and James Taylor, and I know that they're nothing alike. But those are my two favorite solo artists. Obviously, Chris Cornell was in a band as well, in a number of them. But favorite band right now, I'd have to say, if I'm in the rock mood, it's System of a Down. If I'm in the relaxation mood, it's Crosby, Stills and Nash. Because that's how old I am.
I'm going to take System of a Down because I don't know who the fuck the rest are. Lee.
You don't know who Crosby, Stills and Nash is?
You know what? I go through phases. I'm not really I've got a big, I've always liked U2 back in the day. But like, I'm into sort of things like the Jersey Boys now. Elton John, I like Elton John.
Oh, yeah. Elton John, man, myself.
Yeah,
not
so like
him,
Queen.
but his music.
So I don't really like, like obviously like back in the day, obviously, I'd have to say Oasis was up there as well, like, you know what I mean? So, but I haven't really got a favourite.
Mm-hmm.
By the way,
I'm just saying, Don Wang, the Cranberries. I love the Cranberries as well. So I like all sorts of music.
You're mad for the Irish bands. I'm like,
letting things linger. I think
you two were brilliant in their day. Brilliant.
Big Wesley fan.
I'm just going to say right now, Owen Lee, you guys, for you, it's 11:30. I could do this for another. I could do this all day, so I'm not going to end the show tonight. I'm going to leave it to you, Owen, to end the show tonight. Because I'm all
right. I ain't going to bed till 12 anyway. So
I'm only another 5 minutes. I'll do another 5 minutes. I like this shit.
I love all those sort of questions. It's non-related football's good, isn't it? Like, you know?
It is, 100%.
So Sophie's friend christened that shows that I'm Jewish. Christened Chris Cornell's kid, and she got drunk with System of a Down. I already love Sophie, but now
Sophie really, mad?
Sophie and I have to get drunk together and go over these stories because I'm jealous AF.
My favorite.
I saw Chris Cornell 6 months before he died in concert, and I'd never been more thankful that I actually pulled the trigger and went, because there were a lot of times I could have gone to see him in concert, and then he came to Baltimore June maybe it was 12 months before he died. And I went and saw him. We had like front row seats. It was friggin' phenomenal. And when I found out that he passed away, I was devastated. And I don't normally get like that over celebrities or musicians and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like this DMX thing, I just didn't have that connection, but I know a lot of people were affected by it. But Chris Cornell for me was the one.
It's funny because like there's been constants, like even when I was a kid growing up, I always loved like Elvis, Johnny Cash.
Elvis was brilliant.
Absolutely love them, man.
I love all that. Yeah, I love all that sort of stuff.
But I'd say there's two consistent bands that I've always just loved, and it's Oasis and Metallica. I've always loved the two of them all the time.
I give our friend Tom, who was on the open mic show, and John, who hasn't been on yet. Those two guys love Oasis, and I just to needle them. I mean, I bought their DVD, not DVD. I bought their CD in the early '90s when it came out, the Morning Glory one. But I just I can't stand the Manchester City connection. I just can't take it. So
Yeah, put me off
you
a
know,
little bit.
I call them fake Gooners because they love Oasis so much. So.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Right. Well,
And we will, of course, do this.
I know, like Sophie's giving it large. I have spoken to Madonna. I just want to put that out there, like that. So there you go. So
By spoken to, I mean we know what you mean when you speak to somebody. We know what that involves.
I've spoken to Madonna. Like, you know what I mean? She come up to me and said, "Hey, Lee."
You were the 50th person she came up to that night and spoke to.
I'll tell you what, it's a great little, big compliment. Like, we're going to that another time. I'll keep you hanging with that one. Like, you're on a desert island, right? Yeah. You can take one drink with you, one packet of flavour crisps, and what sandwich? Right? What are you going for?
Mike?
I don't want a sandwich that has COVID all over it. One drink.
You know what I mean?
One
Like, you're going to
drink.
die anyway on this river, on this island, anyway. So
One kind of drink, or like one actual
one drink.
drink?
You take one drink with you. That's it. It can be water, Diet Coke. It can be beer.
No,
whatever.
no.
Like,
Is
you
this-
drink
is-
it all.
But
is this
do you
every
have a
day?
limited amount of that
Yeah.
one
Every
drink?
day, you can only take one drink, one pack of crisps, flavour, and one sandwich. So basically, what's your favourite crisp sandwich and drink?
It's either Cabernet Sauvignon, or if I don't want to be hungover constantly, it would be fruit punch Gatorade Zero. Although if I'm on a desert island, I don't care about calories anymore, so just Gatorade.
COVID sandwich.
So many inside jokes in this podcast. I like the podcast just writes itself almost because
What about your crisps and your sandwich?
my crisps. God, when I come over, I love those flavored crisps. Is there a like a ham and cheese flavored crisp or no? There's the prawn flavored ones
Prawn
are
cocktails.
so un-American that I have to get them.
Mhm.
You know, I'm all about the different shit. So like I just walk around ringing the bell while I'm eating prawn flavored crisps. So I'll go with those. And then what was
on the salt and vinegar crisps?
the sandwich would be well, we've talked about sandwiches on the podcast before. I would go with a club sandwich.
Mhm.
Ham, turkey, bacon, mayonnaise, lettuce.
It's a good variety of stuff in there. I like it.
You got a lot of different stuff in there. No freaking tomato though. No tomato.
So
Keep that
yeah,
out
I
there.
egg and tomato, me. Egg and
No.
tomato sandwiches. Vinegar.
If I was going to see
Go on, what you going for?
alcohol is bad, man, because you're on a desert island. You have to think practical. So you're looking at something sweet, but something to quench your thirst too. And a cold bottle of Lucozade is quite good, I think.
Have you ever bought Lucozade for like dehydration, but accidentally bought the Lucozade, the fizzy one, the Lucozade Sport? I did that one night when I in Brighton, and I woke up at 2:00 in the morning, took a huge swig of it, and almost threw up because it was like carbonated AF.
Yeah, I
So
love that.
you gotta be careful with that.
Yeah. No, a big bottle of Lucozade. Crisps, that's a toughie because I want to say McCoy's but I've got a real thing for Beef Monster Munch. They're unreal. They're unreal, man. And then sandwich, it's not a garage sandwich. I'm going to go for a foot long steak and cheese from Subway with lettuce, jalapenos, and
From Subway, you can't do
Some
any better.
South- Southwest sauce.
I'm making my own.
Lee, is yours going to be from what the hell is the name of that place right next to the Pins?
Tesco's.
No,
Oh, no.
Lee, come on.
That dodgy kebab shop.
Yeah, the kebab shop next to
No, I wouldn't go.
no,
there.
not the
I-
kebab shop on that side. The place that Nunny and we always go to. Fucking God, what is it called? Jesus, how do you not know this?
Roosters.
Roosters, yes, Roosters.
Well, no, I wouldn't go there. No. Nah.
I spent a very amusing evening with rest his soul with Claude at Roosters one night. I mean, my God, that was a funny story. But in light of the sadness about it, I won't tell it. But so what's your sandwich? What are your crisps?
Wait, I've got one about that kebab shop, by the way. The last time I was over, it was like fucking 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Roosters
And,
isn't the kebab shop. The kebab
No,
shop's on
no,
the other
I know. Yeah, but I'm talking about the kebab shop.
Oh, okay.
And,
All right.
man, I was busting to go to the toilet. I was like, I need to take a piss real quick. And I went in and I wasn't hungry. We weren't long after food. And I said to the guy, look, if I buy something, can I use your toilet? And he was like, oh, yeah, that's fine. Buy something. So he charged me a kebab like fucking 10 quid or some shit. And then he goes, our toilet's broken. I was like, man, what the fuck? You made me buy a
He
kebab.
told you that after you bought it?
Fucking backhanded me, the bastard.
Yeah, now that's
That's
a
a bit
pretty
out of
cheeky
order,
move.
that is. I'd have weed on his counter.
I think I might have actually, I was fucked up. I think I might have actually said, have you got a sink?
Was it number 1 or number 2? No. All right, Lee, you gotta tell us yours.
I'd go for salt and vinegar crisps, but I do like Watsits. I'm into Watsits at the moment.
Oh, what's a good choice? Quavers are an underrated crisp too.
Yeah. So I'm into Watsits, but I do like an egg and tomato sandwich. I've got to say it, like, you know what I mean, So that would be that. And we drink.
This is the worst conversation for a guy on a like an 800 calorie a day diet to be having.
Yeah, I think I'd go for I do like a half a lager, but I think I'd go for a diet Pepsi. I think.
Oh, sensible choice. Diet, you're worrying about your sugar intake, even on a desert island.
I do watch me weight. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I wish I did.
Except I've seen you eat a Baconator before, though. So that I should have said a Baconator sandwich.
You've had about 4. I'll tell you that.
I had one, and then we went on a 4-mile walk afterwards. Have you ever seen a guy sweat that much?
We're visitors, right? And we said, oh, there's the mile
This is in Manhattan.
walk. Right, it's an old railway line.
Highlight.
You walk in New York, right? And we've eaten these Baconators, and can we get a cab? You know what I mean? Can we get a cab? That's all we kept saying. Can we get a cab? You know what I mean? Unreal.
I wanted to take a cab. You and the rest of our group were like, let's go walk. Let's walk up, the High Line. And I'm like, fucking crap, and I can't not do that. I want to spend time with him. He came all the way over here to see me. So I want to spend time with him. So we walked to the cruise ship, right? To the one that goes around Manhattan Island and sees the Statue of Liberty. It was so romantic, the three of us.
See,
I mean, the Baconator, we had to walk the Baconator off, you know what I mean? So 6 times we had to walk around New York, you know what I mean?
put him into an immediate calorie deficit. I love your thinking. Can I ask the last question before I have to go? Okay. And fuck you, Chad. I'm getting the last question. So yeah, this is quite a bog standard one, but interesting. It doesn't have to be football people. If you had to have a dinner party with 3 guests, either people from any time, either dead or alive, who are you inviting? We'll go judges.
That's a difficult one, that is.
Well, 2 of them are you guys. There you go.
I'm going to go people that I had a fondness for and whatever like that. I mean, so I had a big I loved Telly Savalas when I was younger. You know what I mean? Like the actor, loved him.
We can tell you're emulating him in every possible way.
I didn't know I was going to be. Oh, listen, I didn't know I was going to be bald at the time. Mike, you bang out of order saying that. Like, you know what I mean? So Telly Savalas, Elvis. Love to have met Elvis. And on footballing terms, Charlie Nicholas.
Yeah, we know how much you love Charlie.
Yeah, so there would have been the 3.
Met Charlie ever?
Never met him. Like I had my hair like him, everything. I just loved him. I did, pictures on the wall. You know what I mean? I just he was really the reason. I was still. I was playing at a good level at the time, and I got released around about that time, and that I started going to. He'd signed then, and I started going to away games and all that just because of Charlie Nicholas. Really, I know that's like actually not really going to see the Arsenal, just watching Charlie. Charlie. It was just Charlie Nicholas. But no, never ever met him. Never ever met him. And I know this sounds really bad, but I don't watch Soccer Saturday now because they got rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
So I've protested about it.
I would have assumed it was because they have the word soccer in it, but that's just
no. I always quite like like that when if Arsenal weren't playing and tuned into it and watched it, like get the scores and everything. Now I watch BT now. That's a load of crap as well. But I just refuse to watch it because they got rid of my mate Charlie, even though I've never met him. So there you go, like, you know what I mean? So.
Mike?
My three, I got to start. I have a choice between my father and my grandfather, but my father, I at least, I got to know before he passed. My grandfather died 6 months before I was born. I was named after him, and I've learned a lot about him, but don't know anything going back before him. So I would say my grandfather, from a family perspective. Chris Cornell, I would do to bring him up again for the dinner. From the musical perspective. And the third one, 100%, I'm shocked no one in the chat has said this, but David Rocastle. Absolute locked in first pick on the list. So
yeah, that's a good point.
So I would do that, no problem. So that's my three.
Yeah.
And let's end the show with Owen.
Yeah, I thought you were just gonna end it there and just really rudely be like, fuck you, for that answer. My first one would be Joe Rogan. I think as a podcast host and as a person, like how fucking vast his knowledge on multiple subjects is, and he's quite a funny dude as well. He would keep a conversation going well. Second one would be Ricky Gervais. He's my favorite probably stand-up comedian, and his TV shows are absolutely fucking unreal. And the third person, probably Tony Adams. I would take Tony because I think just we see what we see on TV of him, and he seems like a bit of a extravagant character. But even just to sit down and see how his mentality works, because we often see that with maybe the likes of Tony, and like even you go to like LeBron James, Michael Jordan, like people we've mentioned before, that elite mentality of winners, and I'd like to see how that sort of transverses into somebody in their day-to-day life when you're sitting talking to them. So that would be my three.
Well, a lot of good ones from the audience, from the users. We got one person said Arsene Wenger, which is I'm sure a dinner with Arsene Wenger would be fascinating. When I said I was named after my grandfather, in the Jewish religion, you just use the first letter. So of course we got Zamir saying your grandfather's name was Magic Mike. That made me laugh. That's the comment of the day, Zamir. I put a bunch of them up in the chat, and as a result, if you're listening to this and not watching it, you got to watch the YouTube show. It's just 10% more entertaining when you can see shit. But Daniel Robert actually wins. The only thing he could have done better is to have said that in a super chat. But I'm kidding. Don't do it. So yeah, tune in tomorrow. It's not tomorrow. No, tomorrow. Here's your job. Tomorrow you get in your score prediction video. You can do it today if you want. It helped me to loop them all together. So send that in, and then Thursday evening or afternoon, depending on where you are, join us on the GoonerOpenMic.com. The link to join us and watch it, not be on it, will be tweeted out that day. But if you want to be on it, it's GoonerOpenMic.com. Lee, you're a professional podcaster and pundit, but you're welcome to join us if you want to pop in.
I will send you one. I will send you one.
And on both efforts. So yeah,
I won't do it tonight just to piss you off.
that's about it. We will put on any kind of piss take that you want to give to us. So, and anything else you want to get out there?
My penis, but it's an inappropriate place to do so. It's pleasure.
We're right on the board. This was a really, really fun one tonight. We got a new
Please
mate
don't
who
put that Magic Mike thing on again. Otherwise, I won't be able to sleep tonight. Like that. I mean, just like
Ho, 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 it's magic.
You can blame your buddy Kevin, and you can blame yourself for introducing me to Kevin Campbell for the Magic Mike nickname. And here's the last one.
Ho, 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 it's magic.
That's like that last one is like it's a catalog of like where I started into what I am now, which is just letting myself go.
Just before we go, by the way, Kevin, I've got to say that it was absolutely superb on the old Monday Night Football. I don't know if you guys get that, do you?
No, we don't. I mean, I'm sure that if I could find a way around that, but like we don't get that, and it kills me that we don't get to see him on.
He was really good on it, like
I've heard it's fantastic.
Yeah, he was really, really good, like So and I'll tell you what, it's I feel quite proud like that he's my mate and he's on there, like, do you know what I mean?
It's great, and he's obviously taken a shine to, and I mean he's an engaging guy who doesn't fancy himself being above or better than other people, and between Potsy and Hillsy and Finesy and Judgesy and everybody that he's met and become mates with, that all started with you. Your friendship with him leading to some introductions and stuff. And so I certainly appreciate
have a
that
word,
day.
Lee. I'm still waiting on my Facebook friend request. I'm every day checking the inbox. Have a word. All right.
Every day.
Every day.
Have a word with Kevin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
well, he's giving me access to his account, so I'll just log on and accept it. So. That's one thing you will never do. So anyway, this has been.
Listen, he's just the nicest guy I ever wished to meet, and
he's a legend.
He's engaging, and I was just like, he's not nothing I've done. I just introduced him to you guys, and you've done the rest, and
well, yeah, we had to.
Obviously worked on him as well.
No, but absolutely incredible, and frankly, just good ex-Arsenal players in general have just been amazingly.
Oh, do you know what? All of that generation, I have to say that I've not. Do you know when they turn around and say, "Don't meet your idols," and you're a little bit worried about doing that? You know what I mean? Every single one of them has not let me. Every one of them has been fantastic. Nigel Winterburn, Paul Merson's fantastic. You know what I mean? Like I haven't had the pleasure of meeting Alan Smith. You have. You've got great
Smudge, Dixon, even Michael Thomas. I mean, just I always want to get more people on the podcast that have been Arsenal players before. Although that is the era that I absolutely love and brings everything full circle. To get guys on that have played in the last 10 or 15 years would be a dream come true. It would be a thrill. But like, there's something about that 80s era, that late 80s, early 90s era, where those players they got so much to say, and they say it in a nice
man.
I've been very, very fortunate. Like I have met Tony. Tony Adams always said this to Kevin as well. I was the most nervous one to meet. I don't know why, but when I went to meet him, I was nervous because he was Mr. Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? And when you actually meet him, he just reassures you straight away. And I say not one of them. I've not been disappointed in one of them. They've all been great. One of the great ones. I luckily with David O'Leary, and I was sitting with David O'Leary, and they was doing an auction to have a meal with him, and he leant over to me and he goes, "I'm really nervous because what happens if no one." I'm sitting in the room and no one bids on it. Like, do you know what I mean? It just stopped me. Do you know what I mean? Like 700 games for Arsenal. Of course, you're going to get bidded on. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? What are you on about? But he was genuinely nervous about it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like the bid went for over £3,000. You know what I mean? Like, and I said, there you go. And he was all chuffed.
So good to see that shining through, though. That groundedness that you see from the, like you said, that generation. And that's the difference, is that I think that's the difference between the players of that era and the players nowadays, is that the love for the club is so genuine from that group.
Yeah.
Just
shows you like the appreciation of it all, like, you know what I mean?
So yeah,
that's right.
If Kev is back on for Arsenal Everton on Monday Night Football, that is going to be something to watch, because he's going to.
Yeah, he has been invited back for that game on Friday night. So,
Well, Arsenal, Everton, and Kevin Campbell. There's no one better to speak to that than Kevin Campbell. Maybe you could have Walcott or Iwobi, but beyond that, Kevin Campbell's
Martin
the guy.
Keown.
That's true. All right, so we're gonna let Ian go.
My bedtime now.
Judge, enjoy your trying to get to sleep and seeing me in a sumo outfit on
I'm going to wake up
ice.
with that. I'm going to have bloody nightmares waking up there. I'll tell you that.
Well, if you do, I'll be up.
That Baconator one's going to get me now. Like that.
You can
still send shivers down my neck. That does. You know what I mean?
When you're throwing up in the middle of the night, you can text me because it'll be like 10 o'clock here. So that's it. Thanks for joining us on the Gooners podcast. We'll see you Thursday night after the game, an hour after the final whistle. And come on, you Gooners.